Hi guys and gals, welcome to T.A.B. Videos. So glad you could stop by. Just as you could tell by the title, old versus new. So what we're going to do is show you a couple revolvers. Of course, this ain't the ones that originally was made back when they was made. But revolvers date back all the way to the 17th century. They was called pepper boxes. And got a few notes here a little bit. And they come out with the swing out cylinder in 1858. It was just cylindrical tubes around a rotating crane, flopped out of the pistol. But enough of that. We're not giving a history lesson. But by the old, we're talking about the single action revolver. Now this is not one of the first ones, believe me. I couldn't afford one of them if I wanted to. Well, I guess if I win the lottery I could afford one, right? But this is my U-Birdie single action. It is unloaded for safety's sakes and for all you safety Sallies. I really like this gun. I've always liked wheel guns, and I used to have a lot more. This is the only one I have, matter of fact. Now, back when I was shooting competitions, I had Ruger Super Blackhawks and Dan Wesson revolvers. I wish I had still had some of them back, but I don't. But this is chambered in .45 Colt. Of course, the original .45 Colt was manufactured back in the 1800s, 1873, I believe. And the .45 Colt ammo was designed in 1872. Of course, they wrapped it around the single action revolver. I'll put a few shooting scenes of each one of them here a little bit, take a little break. Let's go with that middle target and see if we can get her to move or ring with this caliber. Yeah, it moved, but I didn't hear much of a ring to it. That's what we like to hear. But yeah, single action. The only problem I really have with single actions is the grips. I mean, they feel good like this, but when they fire, my hands just don't feel comfortable around them. I used to put Packmeyer grips on them, but I don't want to disturb the looks of this because it's so, with that finish that's on it, of course the copper on it, it's really a beautiful gun. So that one's that. And then we're going to call this the new. Even they was designed pretty close to the same time. The first double action, I believe, come out in 1877 or something like that. I believe it was the Schofield. But modern times, I have the Taurus 66, 38, 357. Of course, it's got the stainless frame, 4-inch barrel. It is unloaded also. Got to make sure YouTube don't get us on that and give us a ding. They're so picky on a lot of things. But and I just recently got this. As most of you know, I had the Windicator EA Windicator 38 Special, total piece of junk. But I really truly like this one. I've only had it out a couple times, and hopefully we're going to get it out here again pretty quick. Okay, I had to get me a sip of water. My mouth is dry. And the 38 Special, of course, that was adopted back in 1898, I believe it was, something like that. And the 357 Magnum was adopted in 1934-ish, right in that area. Of course, with revolvers, and nowadays you can get them in the 500 Smith, the 460, the 454 Casull, of course the 44 Magnum. I believe it come out in the 50s. I believe it was. I believe Elmer Keith, the one that designed that one, he was always shooting 44 specials and kept trying to push that load up much, so they increased the case length where you could get 44 Magnum. Where that come from? I believe that was in the early to mid 50s. But there you go. You know, it just and I'll also put a little bit of shooting scenes in with this one. Come on. Yeah, I got to hold over to that right, so it's got definitely have more left to it. Barely nicked that one. But revolvers are fun to shoot, and not a whole lot to go wrong with them. You know, you just pull the trigger. If it don't fire, just pull the trigger again. Unless it's all bad ammo, then you're SOL, I guess. Except if you have an EAA windicator. I got one, for some reason, this double action quit working. So it's a single action revolver. But I gotta get that back to EAA, but more on that discussion later. I've already put a video out on that. So even though the revolvers, the time frame is only 4, 5, 6 years, you got single action and a double action. Two mighty fine, let's get to the center here. Two mighty fine pieces of art. That's all you can call them. Like I said, they're fun to shoot. I enjoy shooting them. 45 Colts. First, I've always had in single action, I've had 44 Magnums, which I use 44 Special, 44 Magnums. But I always wanted a 45 Colt just for the, I don't know how you would say it, nostalgia of it, I guess. So I picked this one up. Of course, this one you can use for hunting. You can load up the 45 Colt up there pretty good. Like this one, I just shoot light loads in it. I'm only running about 650 feet per second with a 255 grain cast bullet, powder coated. But for plinking, there's no need just wearing your gun out, you know. But that could be bumped up to over 1,000 feet per second if I wanted to. And of course, it would hurt a little bit. It used to be the main sidearm back in the 20s and 30s. There's been many a man lost his life to the vulnerable old 38 Special. Of course, with 357 Magnum, deer size game, you can hunt all day. Matter of fact, that's the 35 caliber is the least revolver or pistol cartridge you can use in Michigan for deer hunting, unless they change it this year. So the 357 is bare bones minimum for deer season. And like I said, they're both mighty fine. Try to get this like this again. They're both a lot of fun to shoot. They both got their purpose. Mine's just basically for plinking. The modern semi-automatic plastic guns are the main ones for conceal, but there's a lot of revolver shooters out there, and a lot of revolver shooters still carry a revolver. Well, there you go. We're going to shut this thing. We don't want to run it out too long, and if you enjoy videos like this, hit that like, subscribe, and bell notification. I would really appreciate it. Of course, it helps me out, it helps the channel out, helps the channel grow. If you could share it, that's definitely a big help. Comments are always welcome, good or bad, as long as they're respectable, not obscene or anything like that. I read all comments. I try to answer them all with some kind of either a like or a written. So With that, we're going to call it a day and call it a video. God bless America, the armed forces past and present. We will see you on the next video.